were telling us, you know how hard is the work that they're doing to save the forest in the countries. And Honduras and so other countries from the coalition that are here in the room, they're putting their own resources at the moment to do that. They're not enough. And is there fair that they are doing all in their own? As the minister said, Minister Luis said, they're doing this for the world. And so the world needs to contribute to that. So there is a lot of competition for climate finance. There is competitions for the forest, there is competitions for adaptation, there is competition for loss and damage, different funds created. Our point of view is that if we save the forest, we need less funding for adaptation, we need less funding for loss and damage, because the forests are the only sector that can bring reductions at scale and will help to avoid the climate to increase the temperature beyond 1.5. And so promises have been broken in the past. We know we're supposed to have 100 billions in 2015 committed for the Paris Agreement process. And after 10 years, still haven't materialized. And we know the forest is a third of the solution, so it should definitely get a third, at least, of the 100 billion, but it hasn't been that. So we're here to negotiate what? We're here to negotiate the new framework for markets. We believe public funding is important, but is not enough. And private sector needs to do its part. They have climate targets, climate neutrality, and so what better than buying credits that are reviewed twice by the UNFCCC. And so on the negotiations where we are now, the fight for the limit climate finance there is not only among countries, but is also from other standards that Kevin mentioned before we start the event. There is heavy lobbying from alternative standards that have been created just as a side note why Paris Agreement was finalized the rules to continue it. And so there are few parties that are trying to bring these standards. But what is the issues with these standards? That the money doesn't go to the country. The money doesn't go where it actually belongs, doesn't go to the communities, to the indigenous people that are doing the reductions. The money stays in the US, stays in Europe, where project developers mostly act, and just maybe few solar panels and other things goes to the country. We need to change that. And that's the stake, high stake that we have now in hands with the finalizations of the rules of the Paris Agreement and the markets that needs to be done here in Dubai. And so we have a text at the moment where all options are open. And there is a lot of what rainforest country want, but there is a lot of also of what the other standards they're trying to do. And I'm just saying privately and stays between here. What we say here stays here. What is it's mostly the US pushing these standards because those are mostly US standards. And so we will be here to negotiate through the end until equitable and fair market rules will be negotiated, for rainforest countries. We are going to be under the able leadership of Honduras, President Castro, Minister Luque, Minister Luis, and Vice Minister Malcolm. They're going to be here through the bitter end to make sure that those rules they will be made for rainforest countries by developing countries together with all the rest of the countries. So thank you so much, and I think there are a few questions for the minister as well. Kevin.
Okay, so President Castro is in a golf cart and on her way here. So as soon as she makes it through the maze. So I'd like to open it up for questions. We've heard from the Minister of Environment, we've heard from the Minister of Forests, and we've heard from FEDE on the state of the negotiations. So open for questions. Someone was raising their hand earlier. Where'd she go? There you are. I don't know if we can. We have a mic with like a really long cable. We'll see if we can stretch it over there.
I can try, maybe.
No, it's okay. Keep going, keep going, keep going. You're good. Oh, maybe, okay. That's as far as it goes. There you go.
No, thank you so much. Okay. It's a question about numbers, actually. Una pregunta acerca de los números, porque usted, señor ministro, the minister was talking about a fair amount of national budget that was going into the protection of forest. Habló sobre fondos públicos propios de Honduras que están invirtiendo en la protección de bosques. Y me interesaría saber cuánto es y cuánto sería en relación a los fondos de Red Plus movilizados ahora y los fondos necesarios. And I would be interested to know how much it is and how much it is in relation to the Red Plus funds already mobilized and the funds that are needed to really protect Honduran forests, just to have like a relation of numbers. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Any other questions? I guess excellent presentations, and no one has any questions. Oh, so we do. All right, please.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of the deforestation is caused by logging and how much by cattle ranching.
Ok, la primera pregunta, la primera respuesta, Padre Andrés Tamayo, son 725 millones de lempiras, aproximadamente 33 millones de dólares lo que estamos invirtiendo. Cuando pregunta cuánto es, también económico. Área. Ok, sí, también. En créditos de carbono hay 11.2 millones de toneladas a favor de captura de carbono que tenemos.
So for the first question, the country is investing $33 million, and we have 111 million carbon credits. No, 11.2 million of tons, sorry, in our favor.
La confianza es acceder a un justiprecio de los créditos soberanos que los dé un valor realmente justo, porque también como país hemos sido certificados por los niveles de referencia de carbono, han sido uno de los más transparentes que se han levantado en la historia de Latinoamérica.
It will depend on the market, and our reference level has been one of the most transparent ones.
And just for the group, the market will set the price, as in any new market. It is a new market, and the price range will be anywhere between a $10 and a $30 number. I mean, so it's very, very wide. But one of the jobs that the coalition for doing is speaking to people in industry, speaking to the polluters, trying to find where the market is. And just for it to be known, this process produces the highest quality carbon. The marginal cost of this carbon is of the $30, $40, $50 variety. The problem we face in selling it is you can get the same initials that have no credence for pence in the pound for $2 or $3. So,
Ok. Hay datos desde el 2009, podemos iniciar la estadística. Nos vamos a quedar en los últimos 3 años para hacer comparativos de resultados y acciones. Entre el 2019 y el 2021 en el país por deforestación se perdieron 226,000 hectáreas de bosque. El 90% a causa de cambio de uso de suelo para ganadería extensiva.
Okay, so we have data from 2009, but to compare, from 2019 to 2021, we lost from deforestation 225,000 hectares. 90% of that is land use change due to cattle ranching, extensive cattle ranching.
De esta área, 112,000 hectáreas de bosque se perdieron en áreas protegidas.
From that amount, 112,000 hectares were lost within protected areas, inside protected areas.
Okay. Como gobierno, se instalan 3 batallones de protección forestal para defender como prioridad para luchar contra la deforestación en las áreas protegidas.
And that's why the government created these 3 groups, battalions we call them, to protect deforestation within protected areas.
Primer batallón en la biosfera del río Plátano. Principal objetivo, defensa de la zona núcleo, bosque virgen. El único remanente de bosque virgen en el país. A la fecha se ha logrado reducir la deforestación al día de hoy un 67%.
Can you repeat that?
In the Platanal River site was the first, one of the 3 groups, or the first one that was created was to protect Platanal River protected area. Which is, basically to protect the nucleus of that protected area, which is the only pristine forest we have in the country.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're going to have to cut questions. We have a president in the building.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Buenas tardes a todos y todas. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for waiting. I am glad that you are all here, people who really want to move forward in the payment for results because of all what we're doing with our forests. So let me introduce Our Excellency President Iricio Mara Castro, also President of the Coalition of Rainforest Nations.
Buenas tardes. ¿Hay traducción? Ok. Disculpen, estamos dando vueltas ya ratos para poder llegar aquí. Quisiera saludar a los miembros de la coalición de Naciones con Bosques Tropicales, representantes, negociadores, empresarios e invitados especiales y a los amigos de la prensa. Agradecer la presencia.
Good afternoon to all. We want to apologize. I was going around finding this place, so that's why I was a bit late. Members of the Coalition of Rainforest Nations, representatives, negotiators, business people, special guests, and friends of the press. Good afternoon.
En el 27 de enero del 2022, asumí como presidenta de la República de Honduras.
On 2022, I became the president of the Republic of Honduras.
Primera mujer presidenta en 200 años.
First woman president in 200 years.
Y en este momento, la única presidenta mujer en América Latina.
And the only president in the Latin America, that's a woman.
El año pasado recibí la invitación para poder acompañarlos en la COP27 en Egipto y confirmé mi participación en ese momento. Pero lastimosamente la tormenta Julia, que hizo estragos en nuestro país, tuve que cancelar mi presencia para atender las necesidades del pueblo.
Last year, I had confirmed my attendance. However, we had to cancel due to unforeseen circumstances caused by a climatic phenomenon called Storm Julia. In other words, I had to stay home fighting this disaster.
Los efectos de la destrucción que causó la tormenta Julia fueron aproximadamente evaluados como 329 millones de dólares.
The damages caused by this storm were valued as $329 million.
En el 2020, la tormenta de ETA y Iota causó también estragos en nuestro país con un monto aproximado de 2.000 millones de dólares.
In 2020, hurricanes ETA and Iota left losses around $200 million.
Honduras es el tercer país más vulnerable que hay por su condición geográfica.
Honduras is the third country in the world most vulnerable to climate phenomenon.
Y este año, el primer semestre, pues lo que hemos tenido son sequías que han ocasionado serios problemas para el cultivo, y en el segundo semestre inundaciones, donde todavía no hemos cuantificado el valor de las pérdidas que hemos tenido.
This year we had, in the first half of the year, the increasingly severe droughts of the El Niño phenomenon, and in the second half of the year, severe floods, which we still don't know what is the value of that damage.
Las consecuencias de las catástrofes que sufre nuestro país por su vulnerabilidad son innumerables. Destrucción de escuelas, vías de comunicación, igual también centros de salud, pero creo que lo más delicado es la condición de nuestro pueblo, que tiene que emigrar de sus casas o pierden las pocas pertenencias que tienen para tener que emigrar de los lugares donde ellos viven y llegar a otros para proteger sus vidas.
The climate damages are immense. Schools, communications, but the most delicate of all is the people. They lose everything and they are forced to migrate.
Pérdida de cultivos, pero con la responsabilidad que hemos asumido, el compromiso que tenemos de refundar nuestra patria, pero de darle atención especialmente a lo más necesario y lo más importante en nuestro país.
People lose their crops, but we are determined to support the most vulnerable in our country.
Que es la conservación de nuestros ríos, de nuestras montañas y de nuestros bosques.
And we're committed to protect our rivers and our land.
Hemos implementado el programa de recuperación de cuencas hidrográficas con el programa del padre Andrés Tamayo, que incorpora a las municipalidades, a las cooperativas, a las organizaciones agroforestales, al combate efectivo de incendios y al cuidado del bosque.
We have implemented the Padre Andrés Tamayo Watershed Recovery Program, which incorporates municipalities and agroforestry cooperatives in the effective fight against forest fires and the protection of the forest.
El 10% de nuestro ejército está dedicado al cuidado del bosque.
10% of our military is designated to protect our forest.
Igual, hemos establecido acciones en la restauración de nuestro lago de Yohoa, reserva de agua dulce natural, y la Mosquitia, patrimonio natural y cultural de la humanidad.
In addition, we're also engaged with restoration actions carried out in Lake Yohoa, a natural freshwater reserve, and the Mosquitia Natural Heritage and Cultural Site.
En este programa hemos invertido 32 millones de dólares anuales, que son fondos propios.
We have invested $32 million in a year in this program with our own funds.
Esto refleja el compromiso que tiene mi gobierno en invertir en la conservación, protección y uso sostenible de nuestros recursos naturales.
This reflects my government's commitment to invest in the conservation, protection, and sustainable use of our natural resources.
Bienes estratégicos para el desarrollo y para el crecimiento de nuestra nación.
These are strategic assets for the development and growth of our country.
Tenemos el fiel compromiso de avanzar en las responsabilidades mundiales y aportar con la conservación y el aumento de sumideros de carbono.
We are committed to advancing global responsibilities and contributing to the conservation and enhancement of carbon sinks.
Aplaudimos el lanzamiento e implementación del Fondo de Daños y Pérdidas como un mecanismo para la sostenibilidad de programas como el programa del padre Andrés Tamayo y la creación de más empleos verdes.
We applaud the launch and implementation of the Damage and Loss Fund as a mechanism for the sustainability of programs such as the Father Andrés Tamayo program and the creation of more green jobs.
Este año aprobamos la Ley Especial de Transacciones de Carbono Forestal como un mecanismo para avanzar hacia la justicia climática en concordancia con el Acuerdo de París.
This year, we approved the special law on forest carbon transactions as a mechanism to move towards climate justice in accordance with the Paris Agreement.
Honduras, con el acompañamiento del equipo de coalición de naciones con bosques tropicales, ha pasado por un año arduo de mucho trabajo técnico para poder presentar datos certificados con credibilidad y con transparencia, mismos que estamos poniendo a la disposición para su transacción.
Honduras, with the support of the Coalition of Rainforest Nations team, has undergone a year of demanding technical work in order to present credible and transparent certified data, which we are presenting and making available for their transaction.
Quiero agradecer a Kevin y a Federica y al equipo de la coalición por el apoyo en todo este proceso que hemos realizado.
I want to thank Kevin and Federica and the coalition team for their support in this process.
El dinero generado por las transacciones de crédito de carbono serán administrados por el Fondo de Áreas Protegidas y Vida Silvestre, responsables de su debida distribución y financiamiento para la implementación de proyectos de restauración y de conservación.
The funds generated by carbon credit transactions will be administered by the Protected Areas and Wildlife Fund, responsible for its proper distribution and financing for the implementation of restoration and conservation projects.
Como gobierno, aseguramos invertir nuestro dinero de forma transparente.
As a government, we ensure that our money is invested in a transparent manner.
Tenemos una visión que refleja nuestro compromiso con un modelo económico justo, alternativo, sostenible y equitativo.
We have a vision that reflects our commitment to a fair, alternative, sustainable, and equitable economic model.
Honduras, con su belleza natural y biodiversidad, se enfrenta a grandes desafíos globales que existen y exigen respuestas locales y visionarias. Nuestra respuesta no solo son debido a la urgencia climática, sino una expresión de nuestra visión compartida de un futuro donde cada hondureño y cada hondureña contribuya a la construcción de un país más sostenible y resiliente, desde nuestro valiente país pueda aportar el bienestar del planeta.
Honduras, with its natural beauty and biodiversity, faces global challenges that demand local and visionary responses. Our responses are not only due to climate urgency, but an expression of our shared vision of a future where every Honduran, man and woman, contributes to the construction of a more sustainable and resilient country. From our brave country, we can contribute to the well-being of the planet.
El bosque es una alternativa para el desarrollo. Queremos que ustedes se unan a este esfuerzo. Como presidenta de la coalición de 52 países con bosques tropicales, mi trabajo será impulsar esta agenda en todos los espacios.
The forest is an alternative for development. We want you to join us in these efforts. As chair of the coalition of 52 rainforest nations, my job will be to push this agenda in all the spaces.
Hacemos un llamado, ese llamado que hizo nuestra compañera Berta Cáceres, de nuestros ríos y de nuestros bosques. Despertemos humanidad, ya no hay tiempo. Muchas gracias.
We want to make a call, the call that Berta Cáceres said to our rivers and to our forests. Time calls.
Escuchábamos el discurso de la presidenta Iris Xiomara Castro, quien se reúne en esta tarde con la coalición de bosques tropicales para atender inversiones relacionadas con transacciones de carbono en el marco de conferencias sobre el cambio climático. En su discurso mencionó diferentes puntos importantes. En este momento la presidenta Castro se dirigirá hasta otro punto porque también ella participará en la cumbre del G77 más China dentro del marco de la coalición de bosques tropicales. Con esto retornamos a la programación habitual de Canal 8 Noticias.